You need to get some museum wax and glue it down.
I
This is where
know.
you stay.
You just need to stay
Stay
right
right there.
there.
Don't move. You're
Mhm.
fine where you
You're
are.
fine.
This is where you were wanted.
Welcome to the Incoherent Fangirl.
Where this week's gonna be a little short, but next week we'll be back in full force.
I am Karin from the Forest Grim.
And I'm Mandy of Aura. Yeah, we had a
So,
last minute change
mhm.
to our episode this week, but it's good.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
We were able to reschedule and it will all be fine. We're very excited
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. We're actually excited because this week, this day has been a little rough. So we feel like the universe was
Yes.
like, you know what? Everybody take a breather.
Yeah.
We'll do a quick episode tonight, and next week everybody will be ready and we'll be fresh and
Exactly.
ready to go.
So, the universe was looking out for us.
Yep. 100%.
In our timeline, it is September 14th, and in y'all's timeline, it is September 22nd.
Ew.
Yikes.
Ew. I hate that a
What?
lot.
Ew.
I hate that a lot.
That's terrible.
Yeah,
That's
not a fan.
no, not at all.
Not a fan at all.
This week in fangirling, Mandy, what'd you do?
Okay, so I finished A Study in Drowning by Ava Reed. So we had Effie Sayer working on her plans she's an architecture student and she's rebuilding High Wraith Manor, which is the home of her like favorite author. He's beloved. He's like our Tolkien, who I thought at first, like our Tolkien. Preston is there and he is trying to prove that this author, Emrys Mirden, did not in fact write his book. And he's got all of these reasons why. And Effie can't stand to hear any of it. She's just, so the story goes the way that you'd expect, but it's so freaking well written that you're like, I'm blown away by it. Like Ava Reed has like the craziest writing style to me.
They really do. Like both of
Yeah.
their other books that I've read were just, ugh, I can't
Yeah.
even explain
They
it.
are
It's
now
just,
like auto buy for me. And I've
hmm
not read the others yet.
yeah. I'll
Um,
forewarn you, Juniper and Thorn has like a bit of cannibalism in it.
oh, fun.
Yeah. It's like, for me, it was like blinking, you miss it. But then thinking back on it, I'm like, oh
But you
yeah.
remember it. So
Yeah.
that's enough. Yeah.
I remember it because I remember seeing something on Ava's Instagram and it reminded me. And I was like, wait a minute, what do you mean? I was
Yeah.
like, oh,
Ooh,
oh.
ooh.
So, forewarning.
So the biggest takeaway that I have for A Study in Drowning is that an entire generation is going to relate to this possible scenario that Effie is in, and that she has to come to terms with the possibility that her hero, okay, this person who wrote a book that was so close to her heart, was her coping mechanism throughout her terrible childhood and her lifelong companion, might actually be shitty. Hi,
Mhm.
Harry Potter kids.
Yeah.
The fall, like I'm not saying that's what happens, but she has to come to terms with the possibility of
Hmm.
the fall of an idol.
Yeah.
Millennials everywhere can relate, because, and I say this in my review that's on our blog, how did the person who shaped the person that I am how did the person who wrote a story that shaped the person that I am today and all of the things about myself that I consider good qualities go so far from
Hmm.
the things that she wrote?
Right.
So an entire generation is going to relate to
Hmm.
this book, because even the thought for Effie is like, this is impossible. How do you
Right.
survive that? And it's like, well, we have to do it every day. We've
Right.
had to rewrite our entire existence.
Hmm.
So it's got all of the dark academia that you could want, but also kind of not in a lighthearted way. It's like it takes place in a sea shanty, but it's not a good sea shanty that you want to be part of. It's not the ship that put to sea as the Billy of Tea. It is a scary sea shanty, a dark sea shanty, but a sea shanty nonetheless. I do want to list some trigger warnings because it's who I am as a person. So we have sexual assault. We have someone in a position of power trying to exploit someone that's considered beneath them. Sexism, parental rejection, parental death, amputation. These get into spoilery territory, so I won't give any specifics. I won't say that they happen, or if it's just could be a dream, could be described. Just putting that out there. Child sacrifice and the possibility of death by drowning But the book is called A Study in Drowning. Okay, it's described graphically enough that anyone who has like a breathing thing with being
Mhm.
underwater or anything like that may be very triggered. So I
Yeah.
wanted to mention that one specifically. It's already out by the time you're hearing this. It comes out next Tuesday for us, last Tuesday for you. So yeah, you should go pick that up.
Yes.
Then thanks to my besties at Libro FM, I got an advanced audio copy of Stars in Your Eyes by Case and Calendar. So I was reading non-binary authors this week, apparently, because I jumped from
Yeah.
Ava Reed to Kaysen. So this story has mostly two main characters, Logan Gray and Maddie Cole. Logan is a very well-known, very talented actor, and he is Hollywood's bad boy. He jumps from lover to lover. He's pretty much hell on wheels, and people love to hate him. The internet loves to hate Logan Gray. And then on the opposite, you have Maddie Cole, who is America's sweetheart. He is the Chris Pine, but new. Okay. He's much newer to the industry than Logan, and he's insecure, but he's like beloved. Like there are hundreds of thousands of fans that love him. Logan, the bad boy, makes a public comment about how Maddie Cole is a no talent actor. And then they're both cast as the male leads in a romantic comedy opposite each other. But because of that comment that just happened right before they cast Maddie, the PR for the movie just tanks because everybody's like, you're insulting him publicly. There's no way you're going to have any, charisma. There's not going to be any chemistry together. Like, this is going to be awful. So this film is important because it's a queer love story starring two Black men. And so like, it's important that this movie comes out because they want others to follow of queer love stories, people of color as the prime roles. Like they don't want it to be, and I think I put in my review, I can't watch another Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence in space rom-com. And everybody knows what I mean when I say that. Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. So even though it's not in the real world, even though I wish it was, this film has to do well because they want more to follow it, which is so relatable. So the studio executives decide we're going to fix it all with a fake dating scheme. Logan and Maddie are going to realize that they were wrong about each other. They're going to schedule, like they've got a schedule of social media posts, dates and appearances, leaks that are going to happen. Literally, they schedule it down to the post PR tour breakup. And here's the script for why you broke up. It's because of Logan, because Logan's the worst and everybody will believe it. It's got, I mean, what could possibly go wrong though? In a fake dating.
What could possibly happen? No
They're
idea.
not gonna start to like each other, that's for sure.
And it's definitely not gonna blow up in their faces.
No. So it's got tropes that we love. So grumpy sunshine, fake dating, but this is not a normal rom-com at all. It's more messy, it's more real. It deals with a lot of trauma and how people with trauma think that they're hard to love. And so they self-sabotage and then they can say it's because I'm hard to love. And they do that as a coping mechanism. It's about how someone else can never be enough to heal you. You have to put in the work in yourself. You have to heal yourself and love yourself before anyone else can come in and truly know you and truly love you. And it's a reminder that not all happy endings are the couple walking off into the sunset together. There are some really funny things though. It's mostly Maddie and Logan's point of view, but then there are occasional, and you really should listen to the audio. Like if you had to choose between physically reading this and listening to the audiobook, I highly recommend the audiobook because it will cut to like, there's this real Southern YouTuber who is like Maddie Cole's #1 fangirl. So she reports on all of the Maddie Cole news. And then it'll be like a Twitter feed of, can you believe Logan Gray did this? Ugh, he should go kill himself. Things that you would actually see on the internet. Excuse me, it's not Twitter, it's X. But my favorite was, it only happened 3 or 4 times, but it was username Uwu Hearts on AO3, who it would be a chapter of their vampire fanfic about Logan and Maddie. It was the most AO3 thing I've ever heard. And it called out AO3, but not in like a mean way, but how like you can find anything.
Yeah.
Anything on AO3. Another fun thing that I liked is that Maddie is from Decatur, Georgia, which is where my favorite local-ish indie is, Little Shop of Stories. That's where I did the Victoria Aveyard book tour and Alex Astor. Like Little Shop of Stories in Decatur, Georgia is where it's at. This book also has some trigger warnings. They're listed at the beginning of the book with like an urge from Kason, like to take care of yourself while reading, but I'll give them here just for listeners who may want to order it or avoid it based on the triggers. We have references to sexual abuse, rape, and exploitation of a minor. It does not happen on the page, but it is a major theme and trauma that is discussed pretty consistently throughout the entire book. You have sexual assault and attempted rape, which is still assault. You have substance abuse, some violence, online bullying. Remember that celebrities are people too. And you can't really, I don't think you should get on the internet and say that anybody should kill themselves. That happens. You have homophobia, biphobia, racism, strained parental relationships, and general PTSD and trauma. Be forewarned, you will cry. October 10th is when this one comes out. The audiobook was really quick. I think I listened to it in like a day as I was like cleaning and, doing stuff around the house. So that was I think it was Sunday. It was so good. Then I got to shock my mother by getting an arc of The Fury by Alex Michaelides. I know I'm saying that wrong. I meant to YouTube it beforehand. I apologize.
We're not good at preparation here.
No, good God, no.
We try.
Hey, I did my notes early today. I just forgot to look up how to pronounce somebody's name. So my mom, my grandparents, my stepdad's mother, everyone in my family that reads has been urging me to read The Silent Patient. They claim it's so good. And the endless TBR, like I haven't gotten to it, but this is his like next book that comes out in January. And so when it came in the mail, like I don't remember requesting it. I just like it showed up. I sent a picture to my mom and I was like, oh, look what I just got. And she called me screaming, what is that? What is going on? How do you have it? So
we're
it's
influencers, Mom.
She was like, this is a career. This could be a career. I was like, we're trying. We're manifesting it. Okay. Just give us some time, Mom. Jeez.
Working on it, Mother.
No, she's so freaking proud. Like the fact that her daughter, like my mom's a reader, probably even more than either of us, like combined. My mom reads a lot and she's where I get it from. But the fact that her daughter gets like books sent to her, she's so proud. So this is a love story, or is it a murder story? It could be both. So Lana Farrar is that movie star. She's the one that everybody knows. She's been around for decades. Everyone loves her. I kind of pictured a younger, but not like young Meryl Streep.
Okay.
So she's beautiful and talented, and everybody knows who Meryl Streep is. Like even Gen Z knows who Meryl Streep is.
Even if you live under a rock, you know who
Meryl Streep.
Yeah.
Right. And even if you don't know her name, you know her face.
Exactly.
Right. So early on in her career, Lana marries this much older man who is kind of awful. Obviously, he's a movie producer who marries the beautiful young star, even though he's older than enough to be her dad. They had a teenage son named Leo, and then Otto, the husband, dies of a heart attack. Lana quickly replaces him with a younger, hotter model, Jason. She's also got two best friends, Elliot, who is a playwright, and Kate, who is she's not as well known, but she's an actress, and she's a pretty famous actress, but she's not like Lana's caliber. Last, she has Agatha, who is her life keeper, because housekeeper is not enough. Agatha does everything for you know that role.
Yeah.
In celebrity stories and all of that. Like they're her right-hand man. Agatha keeps her life on track. And then the last person that you hear about a lot is Nikos. He lives alone on and maintains the island of Ara, which is where I'm from this week, which is a private island that Lana's first husband bought her off the coast of Greece. And they say like it was a lot, but nowhere near as much as you would think for an island. Locals say that island is haunted, that island is cursed, and so that's why it was so cheap.
Okay.
So Lana is kind of, after a few decades of being the world's star, she kind of decides she's over the spotlight. So she's moved into a more reclusive life in London. She lives with Leo, her son, Jason, her newish husband, and Agatha. But every year, right around early spring, the friend group gets kind of tired of the sometimes brutal British weather. So they're like, we have to get away from this. So they'll go around Easter and spend like a weekend at the island. And it's like their tradition. So this year is no different. They go and everything is going well until the murder. Now there's this weather anomaly, which is wind, known locally in Greek, translated to English as the Fury. And that wind anomaly is keeping the police hours away from getting there to help, because it's a secluded island,
right?
Private island. So the friend group has to figure out, is there an outsider on the island, or is one of them a murderer?
Oh boy.
So Elliot is the narrator of the whole story. He's the playwright. He's Lana's best friend. He has this flair for the dramatic. So he fills in the bits that he wasn't like present for. Like he talks about like Lana putting on her makeup and things she's thinking. It's what he thinks because he's just filling in the gaps for us. And a quote that he says that I put in my review, and then when I was reading through Goodreads reviews, a lot of other people really like this one too. He says, "We are all the unreliable narrators of our own lives."
Facts.
Right?
Holy
I was like,
crap.
Elliot, hold on a minute.
Wow.
You called everybody out like that.
That's so true though.
Yeah, because you misremember things. Your
you
perspective of the exact same moment is different from someone else who was there too, because everybody's perspective, and that is kind of the same vein as there's 3 sides to every story, yours, mine, and the truth. So yeah, like I had to sit on that one for a few minutes. I had to sit with that. So
he's having an existential crisis.
Right? Right.
Wow.
Because you think like, if I say it and I think I'm telling the truth, then it's the truth, but it's your perception of the truth, and what you perceive doesn't have to be what somebody else perceives.
Whoa. I'm not well.
No, you've got to read it, because there are a lot of little nuggets like that. I need to go back through it and like pick those out, because
oof. Okay.
So Elliot is kind of an addictive narrator. He hooks you into his world, and it's like you're sitting at a bar with him while he's like, you're drinking, and he's telling you like everything that happened, and you're just so engrossed, and you're like, every now and then he'll like stop and he'll be like, so you don't really say much. So it's kind of like breaking the fourth wall a little bit, where he's like, I know that, you're holding a book. Most of the chapters are really short too, which made it that much easier. I don't know why short chapters mean I read faster.
No, I agree.
Same amount of pages.
I agree though.
Yeah.
Like in Brienne's book, there's like very few chapters, but they're long chapters. So it felt like it took a really long time.
Yeah.
But like shorter chapters,
I'm telling you, I read it in 2 sittings.
I don't understand.
I had to go to work and like sleep. So like I started it one night and then I finished it last night, like so fast. And I couldn't, I told you last night, like I physically can't do anything else. I have to finish. I am now an Alex Michaelides fangirl, and I will be reading The Silent Patient over the next few days, because literally this morning, my hold for the audiobook was like the library was like, hey, your hold is ready. And then I also have the Kindle version, and we have some stuff to do this weekend where I will be reading a lot. So
perfect.
It's my time. And finally, my mother and my grandparents, they'll get off my back, and then we can gush over it at the next family dinner.
Love it.
And then last up, I'm so freaking beyond excited. I got an arc of the audiobook of The Hunting Moon by Suze Dennard. I could die. Like, I don't know how my jaw didn't break when I got that email, because I have been religiously checking NetGalley, and I have been like, did I forget to request it? Are they not going to approve anybody? What's going on? Okay, so this is the sequel to The Luminaries, which followed Winnie Wednesday. She's a teenager from Hemlock Falls, and she's part of the Luminaries culture. So that's a secret network of hunters that protect humanity from these ancient spirits and the nightmares that these spirits release when they sleep. So it would be like Melusines, I think, were in it. There's werewolves. Then there's like things that are specific to this world that aren't in other lore. There are 7 clans, one for each day of the week, and each day has their own jobs. So there's like a day of research and compiling data on new monsters, and everyone in that clan is the researchers. There's one day that trains new hunters, etc. In the Luminaries, Winnie and her family were shunned from the society, and her dad was exiled because of some shady dealings that came to light that he was involved in. So he was exiled, and his family was allowed to stay, but they're they're pariahs, that nobody talks to them unless they absolutely have to. So when Winnie turned 16, she was determined to restore her family's name and atone for her father's mistakes. She goes in to try to become a luminary and become a hunter. Major spoilers at the end, which I can't talk about, but book 2 picks up right after 2 major spoilers happen, and Winnie is now basically a small town celebrity. And everybody who has ignored her for years is suddenly obsessed with her and pretending like they didn't ignore her for years. And she's grieving a loss. She's dealing with the grief that others around her are experiencing that she feels guilty about. She's trying to manage this newfound fame that she doesn't want. And she's researching really heavily about a spoiler from the last book, but she's like trying to devote all of her time to solving something. I'm instantly right back in the world of the Luminaries, and I freaking am so here for it. It's still giving me every single one of those early 2000s vibes. So, like, not early 2000s, early 2010s. So
Mhm.
like Twilight, Hunger Games, Divergent. It's like that vibe, and it is so good so far. I'm like 20% in, and I'm like tweaking to go like pick my audiobook back up.
Right.
That's what I did this week. 3.5
Nice.
books. Technically two
Yep.
books and two halves, I guess, because I didn't read all of A Study in Drowning this week.
The fair. Okay.
Yeah. What did you do this week?
So, first book I read was Her Radiant Curse by Elizabeth Lim. This is a standalone prequel to the Six Crimson Cranes duology, which follows Chani, who grows up to become the main character's stepmom in Six Crimson Cranes. And so obviously it happens before Six Crimson
Mhm.
Cranes. So when her younger sister Vanna is born, their father sacrifices Chani to the Demon Witch in order to save their mom's life. But the Demon Witch really wanted Vanna for some reason, and as punishment for her dad not giving her Vanna, she puts a curse on Chani where she has the face of a serpent. Their mom dies, and the Demon Witch is like, I'm coming back when Vanna turns 17, and we're gonna finish this then.
My
So
God.
Chani has spent basically her whole life like preparing for this fight because she needs to protect her sister. She refuses to let the demon witch get her, obviously,
Yeah.
because she loves her sister. And so now Vanna is 17 and she makes the stupid ass decision to not take part in, but like host a contest of sorts where suitors from all over come to vie for her hand. And it's gross and demeaning, and I don't know why she chooses to do it. I mean, she has her reasons, but like, I don't get it. But so, for spoiler reasons, Chani and Vanna get separated, and Chani now is working alongside this. They say he's a dragon, but like a human dragon, like a dragon boy. It was hard for me to picture,
Yeah. I
but
could picture it if he's a boy who turns into a dragon.
no, he's not a boy who turns into a dragon. He is a boy dragon. But
Huh.
yeah, exactly.
He's a boy
So
with a tail and scale.
I couldn't
I
figure it
can't
out.
picture that. Yeah, I
I
don't know
can't
what that
picture it.
means. I don't know what
But
that means.
basically, he's a dragon, but he like partially looks human. Anyways, so Chani has to like team up with this dragon boy dude and find their way back to Vanna so that, she can save her from the demon witch. And there's a romance subplot, but it's like very, very subplot. Like it's not a big part of the story,
I don't
even
like
though
subplot romance. I want
it's
romance.
it's done really well.
Okay.
I really liked it and the way that like resolved itself, because this book is really more about like sisterly love and the power of sisterly love.
Okay, look, I freaking
And
loved Frozen for that. Like that was my jam. No,
yeah,
Kristoff's not going to save you. Your sister is. So,
right.
okay, I can get with that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that.
And it's also like one of those like be careful what you wish for kind of
Yeah.
stories. And so, yeah, it was really good. It was just like there are some things like the Dragon Boy that I just had a hard time wrapping my
Yeah,
head around.
I don't
And
know what that
like
means.
I know they say like Chani has like a serpent's face, but then they also like she was human and she also wore a mask, but like the mask wasn't like a mask that we would think of a mask today. Like, yeah, it was weird. It was hard for me to picture a few different things, which, like brought it down a little bit, but overall it was really enjoyable and it was really cool to see Chani develop and go on the journey that leads her to becoming Shiori's stepmother, because it's like a crazy ride and it's like
Hmm.
really well done, but I did not expect it at all. Like I had no idea how this was going to work and it really does. And so yeah, I
Okay.
will say I
I
would
need fan art to come out of the Dragon Boy
yeah,
before I can understand.
like I feel like the vibe would be there if I could just see it.
Because I'm
So
picturing like a Disney Channel cartoon.
I'm like, in my mind, I'm
Like,
like, it's like, is he just a boy, but he has like dragon wings?
or
But then
scales or
he's also
something.
got,
Like,
yeah, he's also got like scales and like claw, like, I can't picture it.
let me
I
just
need,
Google what is a dragon boy.
I can't even remember his name right now. So, but like, yeah, but I would say I read the Six Crimson Cranes duology first because obviously that was what was out, and then I read this,
Yeah.
and I think that I would still do it that way if I were going
Okay.
into it for the first time.
I like reading a prequel first.
You don't?
I think that you should read it how it came out. So like prequels are introduced
Mm-hmm.
as a prequel once you're already into the story, right?
Right.
Like that's what you're
Yeah.
saying you would still do?
I would read the duology first and then read
Right. Yeah.
this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it has more of an impact. And
Okay.
it explains a lot.
Patreons can see this. Sorry if you're listening, you should subscribe to our Patreon. I just Googled Dragon Boy
Oh
and a
gosh.
Deviant Art thing came up. So maybe it's
Okay.
like that kind of vibe. Like
Maybe.
a boy, but with
I don't
wings.
know.
And
I
it
don't
looks
know.
like there might be a manga or something called Dragon Boy.
Oh, okay. Well, anyways, I mean, he was a cool character. I just couldn't like see him.
I found it. This is what he is. This is it. Are you ready?
Oh
It's a
my
boy in a
god.
dragon costume. Yeah, I need some real fan art for
Yeah.
real. Like I feel like that would help.
I feel like there probably will be because I'm pretty sure there's a Fairy Loot edition and there's probably others that will have some sort of fan art.
Okay.
So
Good.
we'll see. Hopefully they do him, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways, it was good. It was good. Next up, I read The Name Drop by Susan Lee. I'm obsessed with this cover. I don't know what is it about it, but I love it so much.
It's cute. Yeah.
It's like so simple, but I love it.
Look, what I should have done was I should have brought my laptop and gone to her event and just done the podcast in the back row. Been like, look, it's Karin.
Oh my gosh, that would have been so funny. So The Name Drop by Susan Lee. If you remember from last year, I read an arc of Soulmates, which was her debut novel, and immediately fell in love and was like immediate buy, instant buy. I don't care what it is, no title, no description, no problem. It's
Yeah.
mine. So I love Susan Lee. This is her second book. It follows Elijah Rhee and Jessica Lee, and they have the same Korean name, the exact same Korean name, which ends up being a problem. There ends up being a bit of a mix-up with their lives. It all starts when they try to get on a plane and she ends up in first class and he's all the way in the back by the bathrooms, and like they're both very confused, which that part was hard for me because it's like I can suspend my belief a little bit, but like
I have my ticket that says I'm supposed to be in first class right here.
yeah, so I'm just like but anyways,
Yeah, that one's a little, I'm with you.
that part of it you're like but
Is it 1985? Then I would buy that.
anyways, so there's a mix up because they have the same name and they're going by, and their legal names are their Korean names. So there's that. And there's a mix up at the summer internship that they're both doing at the Hanul Corporation. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. It's Korean and I don't speak Korean, but this company. And Jessica ends up in Elijah's like VIP executive in training, like internship program that's for like the kids of executives in this company. And while Elijah ends up with living in like an apartment with 10 interns that are all underpaid and just what? And he's like loving it because he's so like sheltered. He's like, I just want to be able to like have a summer where I can do whatever I want before I go back to Korea and have to like follow everything my dad says.
Yeah.
And so Elijah and Jessica pretty quickly realize like what happened, but they decide that they're going to stay switched because like I said, Elijah wants to like have a free summer and Jessica really wants to like make a good impression and, you know, catch these people's eyes so she can get letters of recommendations, so that she can like apply for her scholarships to go to college because right now she's just like she can't afford to go to the college that she wants to go to. And so they're like, this is mutually beneficial. Let's do this.
The Parent Trap.
And so, yeah. And so they go through, you know, the summer as working in the other's like internship. But they do have to work together on this like big internship project. It's like the big culmination of the summer. The interns are supposed to put on this thing. So they're working together on that as well as trying to keep their secret from everybody around them. And they may or may not start falling for each other because they're spending so much time together.
What?
I know.
And I hate it when the dominoes fall into line.
I mean, I feel like I don't really have to say anything else.
I know.
It's so, like, other than that, like, slightly unbelievable beginning, with freaking like the airline. If it was anything else, I'd be like, okay, maybe, but like the airline. Yeah. That's where I can't wrap my head around it. But other than that, I loved it. It was great. Good. Okay. It was a good time. I love Susan. It's great. Okay. Next up, I read Resball by Byron Graves. That's how it's spelled, so that's how I'm pronouncing it. I'm sorry if that's wrong. So it follows, I want to say it's Trey. It's spelled Tre. I don't know if that's how it's pronounced.
I think that I've known a TRE in school and it was Trey.
That's what I'm going to go with. If it's wrong, I'm sorry. I tried. So Trey is a sophomore at his high school, and he is dead set on, you know, getting onto the varsity basketball team, partly because it's a step towards his goal of getting to join the NBA, partly because he wants to honor his brother, who was like a big star on the team and he has passed away, and partly because he wants to like have a good representation for, you know, the reservation and the tribe, and, you know, show them in like a good light, because prejudice, it exists. It's alive and well. It's terrible. We hate it. And so he's got to battle, you know, those prejudices against Native people. He has, you know, some personal issues that are going on with his friends and his teammates. Like, his teammates are all seniors. They've all been playing together since they were boys. And now you've got this sophomore who is just coming out of nowhere and is also the brother of their, you know, deceased teammate. And so how is he going to mesh with them? And then there's a new girl at school who he immediately is like, oh, I think I like her. But I think
I like that.
She's like very much like, I'm not dating, you know, I just want to be friends. And they are very good friends. It's actually a really cute, like, friend group that they have. But then, you know, something happens and there's some tension in the friend group because of it. I won't say what, because spoilers, but, you know, he's dealing with that. And mostly he's just dealing with his own, like, misguided idea that he's never going to be good enough. He's never going to live up to what his brother did, what his dad did. He's never going to be able to, you know, portray the reservation in like a good light. And he's just fighting against these ideas. And it's like really well written. For me personally, I'm a sports ball person. So I love basketball and I love baseball. There was so much basketball in this story, and it was like so like action packed. Like, I know when you think action packed, it's like action movie, explosion,
Bruce Willis and guns,
no,
jumping out of planes.
Apparently for me, it's also describing a basketball game. Like, it was really well written. This is Byron's debut, and it's a lot of it is based on his own, like, the reservation and the high school are real places. This book is based on his experiences. Like, they're,
that's
you know,
really
fictionalized, cool.
But
like, he played for that school. He lived on that reservation. My gosh. So yeah, that was really cool to, like, because as I was reading it, I'm like, this is like really intense. Like, these are like really intense feelings. This is like very descriptive. Like, yeah. And then I get to the end and there's the author's note and I'm like, oh my God, that's why. because he
Yeah.
lived it, you
Because
know?
that's like his place.
That's his place. And I
It's
was
not
like, this
something he's
is
having to make up
so
brick by brick.
cool. Like it was,
Yeah.
I really, really liked it. And I'm really, really looking forward to anything else that he writes. And I also just, like all, I think all of the characters, other than like, when they would go away to basketball games or whatever, they were all native, which I was like, we don't get a lot of, stories centering native and indigenous people. So having this, like, it was set on the reservation. They were on the reservation. Their high school was on the reservation. All of
Yeah.
the friends, all of the teammates, everybody was like from the reservation. And there's a tough scene early on where he and two of his friends are driving into like the town that's like, off the reservation but like close by, and they get pulled over by the cops. And it's very tense. And I'm like,
Yeah.
like all of that stuff that you see, like Black parents teaching their kids, all of that was in this scene.
Oh yeah.
Because it's not, obviously they're different groups, but like
Right.
the prejudices
A
are
very
still there.
similar experience.
Yes, exactly. And so
Yeah.
it was like really tough to read, because it's like you know what can happen. And
Right.
these are literally, they're sophomores. Like I was terrified for them.
Yeah.
I will say, I will give this spoiler, they are fine. Like
Yeah.
nothing happens to them in that situation, but like
It's
it
still
is
scary though.
it's very scary. It's very tense. But they do make it out of there alive.
Thank you. Good.
Thank goodness. So yeah, it was really good. I really liked it. And it teaches you the lesson to be like, you need to get out of your own head. Like you're the one who's judging you the most harshly.
Right.
Like other people are judging you, but you're being way harder on yourself than anybody
I tell
else.
that to the twins all the time. I'm like, nobody cares what your shoes look like.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody notices what shoes you're
You're your
wearing
own
because
worst
they're so busy worrying if anybody's looking at the shoes that they're wearing.
Exactly.
Nobody notices that you had a stain on your shirt today because you
Yeah.
missed your mouth and got mustard on yourself. Because they're worried about if their hair looks good and if everybody's looking at
they got spinach in their teeth.
Right. Like,
So
no, we take ourselves way too seriously all of the time.
it's so true. And so this was like one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, I remember
It's
that.
really not that bad. It's not life or death.
It's not that bad. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it was really good. I really liked it. Then I read The Forest Grimm by Catherine Purdy.
Why have I thought that book has been out for 7 years?
I know.
I thought that book had been out. I think somebody's doing a special edition, and I thought it was just like a anniversary or something. This is weird.
This book, I swear, this book has been out forever, but it's not.
I'm so glad I'm not the only one.
No, when you said that, I was like, no, I feel that. That's the vibe. But no, it comes out on the 19th.
That is so weird.
I know. It's still like, but anyways.
Mandela effect. That's what this is.
For real. So we've got Clara is the main character, and she, at a young age, her grandmother is like a fortune teller, so with like tarot cards. So like she, pulled her cards early on, and Clara is destined to die at an early age. She's destined to die before her time. And she's known this her entire life. So
that's a fun way to grow up.
Right? So fast forward a bit, present day. Actually, back up a little bit. Claire's village, there used to live a book called the Sortes Fortunes, or the Book of Fortunes, and this book would grant anybody who is of age one wish. And it's described as you make the wish, but the book doesn't just like magically make it happen for you. It gives you instructions on exactly what you need to do in order to attain what you're wishing for.
Makes you put the work in. I like that.
Right. And it always works out, So it's like, it really is magic. It leads you exactly to what you want. But you also,
it has to show you're dedicated.
Exactly. So, and you only get one wish. And if you tell anybody your wish, it gets reversed.
Oh.
Yeah. So everybody's very secretive about it. So then one day, somebody makes a wish on the book, right? To murder somebody. And as punishment, the Forest Grimm, which is where I'm from this week, is a forest that borders their village. It takes away the book, and it basically traps them in their village.
You ruined it for everyone.
They're not able to enter the forest without the forest's permission. If they do try to enter the forest, bad things could happen. So this is an example of one person ruining it all for everybody.
Good God.
So every now and then, people will try to go into the forest. or they are called into the forest for one reason or another, and the
Ooh.
forest lets them in, but they never come back. These are the lost ones. Clara's mother is one of these lost ones. She was, I believe, the first one to be lost to the forest.
Oops.
And so, about once a month, the village all gathers together. I forget what they call it, but they all gather together, and out of like a jar or a chalice or a cup or something, they have people who have volunteered. They've written their name, they put their name in this, and like the village elder or whoever picks a name. And this person is going to try and go into the forest and find all the lost ones and bring them home.
So that's like the
Which
lottery.
it's very much
Ugh.
like, but they volunteer because everybody's lost somebody at this point. It's been,
That's true.
several years. Everybody's lost somebody, and so the problem is the forest doesn't always let people in. And so if you go into the forest, it's possible that the forest will fight back and try and toss you out, and bad things could happen. But Clara finds this a secret way to get into the forest. Like, she finds a way to be protected trying to go into the forest.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so, yeah. And so she's like, okay, well, I'm not going to tell anybody. I'm just going to go, and I'm going to find my mom. I'm going to find everybody else. And she brings her, like, I don't want to say he's her best friend, but like, he's a good friend. They've known each other forever. His name's Axel. She brings him with her because he's lost like his fiance. Like, literally the day before they were supposed to get married, like hours before they were supposed to get married, she enters into some sort of trance and walks into the forest, and the forest like lets her in, and they couldn't stop her. And so
Is it
he's
because
like,
we don't like her and she's not supposed to be the fiance?
the
I've
forest
heard this
the
song
forest
before.
is giving us what we want.
Yeah.
But who knows. So Claire goes on an adventure into the forest with Axel, and also her best friend Henny, who is Axel's fiance's younger sister. And Henny
Hmm.
was not supposed to come. She snuck her way in, and now they're going through the forest trying to find, their people. And the forest is not a regular forest. It's a cool forest. It's there. The forest moves. Like, they go to sleep in one spot, and then they wake up and are in a completely different spot. And it's not because they sleepwalked; it's because the forest moved around
Oh,
them.
weird.
Yeah, so it's like a journey, and there's a lot of like Grimm's fairy tale like bits and pieces put in. Obviously, it's called the Forest
Yeah.
Grimm. So, there's Little Red Riding Hood, there's Cinderella, there's Aurora Sleeping Beauty, there's, a bunch of like these intermingled. It's very like Once Upon a Time-esque, where
Oh, I
you have all of
love.
these like, fairy tales weaved in together, and it's also like darker than that, but it's a good time. I really liked it.
Hey.
Yeah, and the ending, it is, I believe it's a duology, so I think there's a second book coming, and the ending is one of those cliffhangers that's not like, oh my god, I'm going to scream at the author, like enter the
Yeah.
DM screaming, but like it does leave you hanging. Like, I'm not traumatized by the ending, but like
You
I
want to
would
know
like
what's
to know
coming
what
next.
happens.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But what I will say is you can't fight fate, and that's a big
Yeah.
point of this book. So, yeah, but it's very good. I really liked it. It's a good time. I would recommend it.
You had me at Once Upon a Time, except for the fact that they traumatized me for life. They committed a crime so heinous that I've never recovered from it. Where did Will Scarlet go? Sorry for that aside.
I also read The Golden Gate by Amy Chua. I love this cover. It's beautiful.
It's really pretty.
It's really pretty. This is where my notes stopped, so this is all off the cuff.
Ah,
So it is a like historical thriller. It follows Al Sullivan, who is a
hmm.
Berkeley police detective, and he is trying to figure out who killed.
Roger Rabbit. He
I
framed
forget.
Roger Rabbit.
He's trying to
A
figure out
guy.
who killed this guy who was like almost the president. Like, he was like,
Oh.
yeah. And now he's still a public figure, but he was like almost president. And signs are pointing all different directions. At the very start of the book, we are introduced to Genevieve Bainbridge, who is like the matriarch of the Bainbridge family, who is very like prestigious family in the area. And we are told, hey, we know it was one of your granddaughters. We need you to tell us which one, because then we'll, let the other two go and only put the one in jail. Otherwise, we're going to put them all in jail. And so,
That's
yeah.
illegal.
this is
Bainbridge.
this is like 1930s.
So they can do what they want.
So they can do whatever they want. And so we have Al, who is like going through, this investigation, trying to figure out who killed this dude. And there's like a lot of weird things going on. And he's like, it might be these Bainbridge girls. But then like somebody is like, oh, wait a minute, there's a Chinese connection. Oh, wait a minute, it's the Japs. They say that. Their words, not mine. Because this is like,
yikes.
This is during internment.
30s,
it's right after,
yeah.
Pearl Harbor.
Not understandable, but
like
relative to the time,
historically
accurate. Yeah.
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 I felt really gross saying
relevant to the time.
So yeah, and so there's like all different kinds of angles going on, and it's like twisty, turny. You never figured out what was gonna happen. Like I did not figure this one out until the very end, and even then, I'm like, are we sure that's what happened?
Yeah, promise.
Like, you sure? And I listened to it. I got an audio arc of it, and there was at the end of the audiobook, there was like an interview between like the narrator and the author, and they were just like asking each other questions, and it was just so fascinating.
That's really cool.
But like, she did so much research for this. She's, born and raised in the Bay Area. So I'm like, bestie. But she was like, I almost feel ashamed that I don't know, like, there's so much rich history in San Francisco. There was talk of like how they built the Golden Gate Bridge, like how treacherous it was, and all of that. And apparently, Madame Chiang Kai-shek, for some reason, moved to Berkeley by herself during this time, was just living in Berkeley, apart from her husband, the president of China. The first lady of China was just living in Berkeley for some reason.
Hanging out in Berkeley.
And so she was like playing off of that idea, like, was she having an affair? Was she, all of this stuff?
Why was she here?
There was a lot of like speculation and fun like stuff, and I really liked it. I really liked it. I believe Amy Chua she had talked about like legal research, so I feel like she maybe has written like nonfiction. Like she said this was her first fiction book, so I feel like she's read or written. I haven't researched it, but like nonfiction, or at least did something in the nonfiction space. But it was excellent. I really enjoyed it. Highly recommend. It comes out on the 19th. So it'll be out by the time this episode airs.
Okay.
And I am currently in the middle of reading A Study in Drowning by Ava Reed. As well as The Forest Demands Its Due by Kosako Jackson. I hope I'm saying that correctly. And I am enjoying both so far, and I can't wait to talk about it next week.
Yeah.
And that was my week. Holy crap.
That was a good week. Well, my basset hound is barking downstairs. I don't know if you can hear her. She's asking if you have a fictional boyfriend this week.
I do have a fictional boyfriend this week, and it is Elijah from The Name Drop. He is so, like, you want to be like, you are such a spoiled rich boy, but like, he's so like aware of it. Like, he like goes into like the situation where he's like basically being treated like a normal person. Right. And he's going into it like, wow, I'm an asshole. Like, I used to do things,
I was haughty.
I was like a terrible person. And I really like this experience, even though it's like I'm buying my underwear from the drugstore. Like, but he's like really embracing it, and I feel
like a normal person.
I feel like that says a lot about his character, and he was just like a sweetheart throughout. And I do think it's hard because it jumps from POV to POV, but I think he falls first. I feel like he fell first.
Oh, I love that.
And we love when he falls first.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite.
So yeah, I'm gonna go with Elijah. How
okay. I think I'm gonna go with Jay Friday from the Luminaries and the Hunting Moon. In book one, before the whole book one takes place like after they've been exiled, or her dad's been exiled and like her family's been shunned. But it talks about like her life before. He was her best friend, and he disappeared from her life when she was shunned for reasons. And as a reader, you can kind of guess what those reasons are once you like get through a lot of the first book. But she's not picked it up yet because she's the female lead in a YA
Yeah.
that's very early 2010s. So you're like screaming at her like, he didn't not love you, this happened.
Yeah.
But when she decided that she was going to go through the trials to become a hunter, he stepped up, he trained her, he helped her, he saved her a few times. And I don't really, I wrote, I don't know what's going to happen, but I think I know what's going to happen. And I hope I know what's going to happen because that's what I want to happen. But I haven't gotten that far yet. But if I'm right, like the hints have been there this whole time as to what's going on, and this girl is oblivious.
The hints are hinting, girl.
The hints have been screeching at you in your face, girl. She's not listening. But yeah, I'm thinking J Friday.
Okay. So we're going straight into our announcements because, as we mentioned, we had a bit of I don't want to say like kerfluffle. It's just our guest had to reschedule, and we hope everything's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't have anything prepared for this week.
No. Because it was today when we found out. We're not upset.
Yeah.
Like we were actually kind of like, as much as we would love to talk to him, this is also working out for everybody too. Because we'll all be more prepared.
Yeah. It's also like this week, if we had done it today, it would have been a really bad impression to leave. Like, because I'm just not on.
Yeah.
Like
same.
I just feel like I wouldn't have been at 100%. I would have
and we always want to be at 100%.
Yeah. Especially when we're like talking to somebody who we're excited to talk to. Like, I want to have 100% of excitement.
The energy is like we're just tired this week, and so we'll be able to have more appropriate energy next week when we talk to
Costico Jackson.
Yay!
So excited. I
cannot wait.
I'm a few chapters in to The Forest Demands Its Due, and I'm already like really enjoying it. So I can't wait.
I'm starting it either tonight or tomorrow.
I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens. Like, yeah, because like something happens very early on, and then like the next chapter, it's like everybody's forgotten this thing has happened, and I'm like, wait, but
wait a second, hold on.
So the main character's like, guys, and I'm like, guys,
yeah.
So I need to know what happens. I'm like fully,
yeah.
So
well, now you have more time tonight.
Yes.
To keep going.
Exactly. So those are our announcements for this week.
And then we can do a spiel.
And now it's time for a spiel.
Hey.
Yay. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, follow, and subscribe wherever you are listening to us. Please also follow us on social media. We are at The Incoherent Fangirl on all the things. Please also visit our website, theincoherentfangirl.com, where you can also stream all of our episodes as well as read our blog, which we talk about all the time, and we have written so many things, and it's a good time. It's a good time. It's overwhelming, but it's a good time. You can also subscribe to our Patreon. Go to theincoherentfangirl.com/Patreon to subscribe. You can get early access, video episodes. We're working on some exclusive deals for our merch, which you can purchase at theincoherentfangirl.com/shop. There's fun stuff there. I had an idea while I was editing yesterday, and I feel like we'll get there, and I hope it's cute.
The show husband wore a fictional boyfriend of the week shirt on the last time they recorded the Paranormal Mind.
I love it.
So keen-eyed observers can look out for that.
Love it. And if you have any comments, concerns, suggestions, design ideas, you just want to tell us we're pretty, we will accept all of those. Send us an email at theincoherentfangirl@gmail.com. We love hearing from y'all.
Yes, always.
And speaking of writing things, the final way you can support the podcast is to rate and review with your words on whatever platform you're listening to us on. We want your words.
We want words. We're words people over here.
We are words people. We don't math. Math is hard.
No. Amber D. Lewis went to order a book from her local bookshop, I think, and you could like request a book. And she said it was like a whole thing. And she said at the end there was a math problem to prove you're a human. Cruel.
Rude.
Not all humans can math. Okay, first of all, don't be ableist. Some of us can read, but we can't math very well. And it doesn't mean we're less than.
That is offensive.
Right.
How dare you? How dare you make
and it was multiplication.
Somebody's trying to buy a book and you think they're gonna math?
Right. Ask them to point to the verb.
This is nonsense. I'm
like,
offended.
Really? I know. Same.
Anyways, she is at Mandy Perv on all the things.
And she's at Miss Made in China on all the things.
And once you have followed us on social media and the podcast on social media, you can go and visit our internet besties and do some self-care, some shopping. We love it.
Mhm.
Head on over to herecomestenerd.com, use code fangirl to get 20% off your first order.
And then once you've got all your pins and artsy goodies, you can head to onceuponabookclub.com, get a book box, get some miscellaneous bookish goods. And we have 2 codes for you. Now you can't stack them, but you can pick whichever one your little heart desires. We will love you either way. So use code Karin10 or Mandy10, but just make sure you spell Karin right. It's Karin, and you'll get 10% off.
And once you have done some shopping there, you're going to need something to cozy up with, which is the perfect time to head over to entrancingelixirs.com to get some tea and goodies that will just make you feel all cozy with all your new stuff. You're going to use code FANGIRLT to get 10% off. But remember, unlike Karin, there is no I in fangirl.
Nope.
It is FANGRLTEA.
And I set out my fall teas yesterday and I'm like thrilled. I forgot about some of the blends and I was like, oh, this is great.
Exciting.
Once you've got your tea, your bookish goods, your pins, you're gonna go support our favorite, Amber D. Lewis. She's got the Fire and Starlight Saga, which is coming to a close. But you need to read all of the books. There will be more to come from her, I am certain. So head to amberdlewis.com and use code fangirl10 for 10% off your purchase.
And once you're done supporting our internet besties, you might as well just go and support the show husband, I guess. Even though he is a bit slanderous at times.
I know he can be so slanderous, but
he did wear one of our shirts.
He did wear one of our shirts, even though he lied about me. I have never said goodbye stupid to him.
It's a give and take.
It's a give and take. So you're going to head to searchersbelieve.com and you can use code fangirl10 for 10% off if you find any merch there you need. We're working on some new ideas. You'll also want to look for The Paranormal Mind. As soon as you finish this episode, you go listen to theirs. They recorded at my house last weekend because of a few like really random odd things happening in their studio and around their studio. So for the next few episodes, there's 2 iterations of Harry Styles in the background of The Paranormal Mind, which is like my favorite thing. Harry Styles is in The Paranormal Mind with 2 dudes talking. Like it's my, I love it so much. So
that makes me so happy.
Yeah.
Good.
Go to you can join their Patreon and watch their video episodes and see if you can point out Harry because he's there. And yes, Harry Styles is part of my living room decor in not 1 but 2 places now. So
that should surprise absolutely nobody.
Nobody. It's on brand.
If you're surprised by that, you haven't been paying attention.
No, not even a little bit.
And please remember that we will lie for you. If there is somebody who is policing your spending, you want a giveaway. Congratulations. We're so happy for you.
We did the whole random number generator wheel thing. I can't believe that person didn't see it, but yeah, you won.
Yeah, exactly that thing that you wanted.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for you.
Crazy that that's what we were giving away, but hey, who are we to get in the way of fate? Anyways, that's the Incoherent Girl.
Thanks for listening. We love you.
We love you.
Bye.
Bye.
We are sponsored by our friends at Here Comes the Nerd. Pins, stickers, magnets, and more. Here Comes the Nerd has happy art for all fandom-loving hearts. New customers can use coupon code FANGIRL during checkout for 20% off their first order at herecomesthenerd.com. Coupon applies to ready-to-ship items only.